Hello hockey fans, Oddman Rush here and welcome back to another video. The 23-24 NHL season is almost upon us now, and while we still have another week to go until it finally begins, each team's training camp and the 2023 preseason are currently in full swing. Now, while most roster spots are already filled by each team's usual suspects, and while there are plenty of prospects who are gunning to fill in the gaps, there is a surprising number of veterans who are attending camp on a professional tryout contract, or a PTO for short. Given the sizable number of veterans who are currently signed to PTOs, and given that many of these players have spent much of their careers in the league, I thought it could be fun to make a video highlighting the most notable names amongst them. After all, everyone likes to focus on the next generation, but what about the guys who are trying to keep their dream alive for just a little while longer, right? So in today's video, allow me to take you through my list of the top 10 NHLers who are playing on a PTO this preseason. Kicking things off at number 10, we have Nick Ritchie. The youngest entry on this list by quite a notable margin, Nick Ritchie is looking to revive his career with a brand new organisation. The 10th overall pick of the 2014 NHL draft by the Anaheim Ducks, Nick Ritchie has played 481 NHL games over parts of 8 seasons split between 5 different teams, potting 84 goals and 186 points in the process. After splitting the recent season between the Arizona Coyotes and the Calgary Flames, and having scored 26 points in 74 total games that year, the Canadian forward has secured an opportunity with a brand new team, as on September 14th, 2023, he signed a PTO contract with the St. Louis Blues. Since then, Ritchie has joined St. Louis's roster for the 2023 preseason, and though he has his work cut out for him if he wants to earn a contract for the rest of the year, given his lengthy tenure in the league and given his respectable scoring numbers in recent seasons, I wouldn't be surprised if the 27-year-old earned a roster spot out of training camp. I mean, the guy is in the prime of his career now, and he produced decent stats with the Arizona Coyotes. The Blues could do a lot worse than Nick Ritchie, you know? Next up at number 9, we have Austin Watson. Another entry to have been drafted in the first round, Austin Watson is ready to make the most of his newfound opportunity. The 18th pick of the 2010 draft by the Nashville Predators, Austin Watson has suited up in parts of 9 NHL seasons, split between the Predators and the Ottawa Senators, notching 58 goals and 114 points in 482 regular season games. Having spent the last 3 seasons with the Senators, and having scored 37 points in 176 games during that span, the American forward has moved elsewhere in the league following the conclusion of his contract with Ottawa, as he signed a PTO with the Tampa Bay Lightning on August 24th, 2023. This preseason, Watson has joined the Lightning's roster for training camp, and while he certainly isn't the most productive player in this video, the 31-year-old is well aware of the role he fills, and he still plays that role pretty well, so expect the Lightning to give him a long look at camp. And who knows, perhaps Watson impresses Tampa so much that he secures a contract for the rest of the year. Crazier things have happened, right guys? Moving on to number 8, we have Mark Pysyk. A defenseman who has produced modest numbers in the show, Mark Pysyk is determined to bounce back following an injury-riddled year. The 23rd pick of the 2010 draft by the Buffalo Sabres, Mark Pysyk has played 521 NHL games over parts of 10 seasons split between 4 different teams, where he has scored 28 goals and 104 points for his efforts. After signing a 1-year deal with the Detroit Red Wings in July of last year, and after missing the entire 22-23 season due to a torn Achilles, the Canadian defenseman has secured another opportunity in the show, as on August 30th, 2023, he signed a PTO with the Pittsburgh Penguins. From there, Pysyk has made the move to Pittsburgh to join the Penguins roster for training camp, and though his most recent NHL game was all the way back in April of last year, he is hoping that the 31-year-old has a much healthier preseason this time around, and he proves that he's still an NHL caliber player. After all, getting bitten by the injury bug during training camp is pretty tough, but doing so while on a PTO is another level of bad luck. At the 7th spot on this list, we have Jordy Ben. The final defenseman in this video, Jordy Ben is eager to continue his career with a very familiar franchise. An undrafted player during each of his years of eligibility, Jordy Ben has spent parts of 12 seasons in the league split between 6 different teams, potting 26 goals and 137 points in 607 regular season games. Having spent the recent 22-23 season within the Toronto Maple Leafs organisation, and having split the year between the NHL and the AHL, the Canadian defenseman has returned to a former team, as he signed a PTO with the Dallas Stars on August 30th, 2023, the team he began his NHL career with, and the organisation he spent the first 7 years of his pro career with. Since then, Ben has returned to Dallas for the 2023 preseason, and while he is anything but a stranger to the Stars organization, given that he is reunited with his younger brother and current Stars captain Jordy Ben, and given that he has rejoined the roster on a PTO, the 36-year-old has his work cut out for him if he wants to secure a more permanent deal with the team. So, will he get his wish? I guess time will tell. On to number 6, we have Chiasson. The only entry on this list to have lifted the Stanley Cup, Chiasson is looking to earn another NHL contract during the 23-24 season. A second-round pick by the Dallas Stars in 2009, Chiasson has suited up in 651 NHL games over parts of 11 seasons split between 7 different teams, scoring 120 goals and 233 points in the process. If that's not impressive enough though, Chiasson also got his hands on the greatest trophy in the sport, as he lifted the 2018 Stanley Cup while as a member of the Washington Capitals. Well, that's one way to leave your mark on the league. After spending the recent season within the Detroit Red Wings organization, and after splitting the year between the majors and the minors, the Canadian forward has taken his talents elsewhere in the league, as on August 21st, 2023, he signed a PTO contract with the Boston Bruins. This preseason, Chiasson has joined the Bruins roster for the 2023 training camp, and while he has never played for the Bruins at any other point in his career, the 32-year-old spent 3 seasons at Boston University before his NHL career began, so if anyone knows how much his new team means to its city, it's Chiasson. Halfway through this list now, at number 5, we have Cassian. One of the toughest players in this video, Cassian is ready to earn a roster spot on a brand new team. The 13th overall pick of the 2009 draft by the Buffalo Sabres, Cassian has spent parts of 12 seasons in the league split between 4 different teams, where he's potted 92 goals and 203 points in 661 regular season games. He's also registered 913 penalty minutes while he's been at it too, so the guy clearly hasn't been afraid to drop his gloves and let his fists do the talking, has he? Having spent the 22-23 season with the Arizona Coyotes, and having produced some of the lowest numbers of his entire pro career, the Canadian forward has earned another opportunity elsewhere, as he signed a PTO with the Anaheim Ducks on August 31st, 2023. From there, Cassian has made the move to Anaheim to join the Ducks for training camp, and while his best days are probably behind him now, given that Cassian is still one of the tougher players in the game right now, and given that Anaheim have several young superstars that they're wanting to protect during their blossoming NHL careers, if Cassian is willing to lay down the law in their defense, I wouldn't be surprised if he stuck around for the entire year. I can certainly think of worse options, can't you? Next up at number 4, we have Sutter. Perhaps the most surprising entry on this list, Sutter is eager to revive his career following a 2-year hiatus from the sport. The 11th overall pick of the 2007 draft by the Carolina Hurricanes, Sutter has played 770 NHL games over parts of 13 seasons split between the Hurricanes, the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Vancouver Canucks, notching 152 goals and 289 points for his efforts. After last playing in the league during the 2021 season, and after missing the entirety of both the 21-22 and the 22-23 seasons due to lingering effects from long COVID, the 34-year-old has earned another chance in the show, as he signed a PTO with the Edmonton Oilers on August 9th, 2023. Since then, Sutter has made the trip to Edmonton to join the Oilers roster for their pre-season training camp, and though he hasn't played an NHL game in nearly 3 whole years, the 34-year-old is hoping that his extended rest away from the game and his wealth of experience in the best league in the world will give him an edge to earn a full-time contract for the upcoming year. His chance of success is minimal at best, and he's the biggest long shot so far, but it would make one hell of a story, that's for sure. At the 3rd spot on this list, we have Artem Anisimov. The only Russian to be featured in this video, Artem Anisimov is looking to return to the NHL following a 2-year hiatus from the league. A 2nd-round pick by the New York Rangers in 2006, Artem Anisimov has played 771 NHL games over parts of 14 seasons split between 4 different teams, potting 180 goals and 376 points during that span. Having left the NHL in 2021 and having spent the following year back home in the KHL, the Russian forward spent the recent 22-23 season with the Lehigh Valley Phantoms, Philadelphia's minor league team, where he produced solid numbers for the side, finishing the year with 19 goals and 36 points in 55 AHL games. Thanks to this impressive stint down in the minors, Anisimov has earned a spot at another NHL training camp, as he signed a PTO with the Detroit Red Wings on September 19th, 2023. And while he last played in the league all the way back in 2021, the 35-year-old has shown that he still has plenty of gas left in the tank, so I wouldn't be surprised if he got a longer look than most by the Red Wings coaching staff. After all, you don't play over 750 games in the NHL, and you don't earn another opportunity 2 years after your departure if you're a bad hockey player now, do you? Penultimately, at number 2, we have Sam Garnier. The first of 2 entries to have played over 1,000 NHL games, Sam Garnier is taking his talents back to where it all began. The 6th overall pick of the 2007 draft by the Edmonton Oilers, Sam Garnier has spent parts of 17 seasons in the NHL, split between 7 different teams, where he has scored 192 goals and 519 points in 1,015 regular season games. Oh, and he's the only active player in the league to have recorded 8 points in a single game too. So yeah, Garnier is a pretty good hockey player. After spending the 22-23 season with the Winnipeg Jets and after potting 14 points in 48 games with the team, the Canadian forward has returned to a familiar franchise, as on August 28, 2023, he signed a PTO contract with the Edmonton Oilers, the team that drafted him over a decade and a half ago and the organisation that he has spent 9 of his 17 NHL seasons with. Who says you can't go home, right guys? From there, Garnier has returned to Edmonton for his 3rd stint with the team, and while he will certainly have his work cut out for him if he wants to stick around for the entire year, considering he last played for the team back in 2020, and considering that he has already earned a contract while on a PTO earlier in his career, if anyone can do it, Sam Garnier can. And finally, at number 1, we have Josh Bailey. The most productive player in this video by a rather notable margin, Josh Bailey takes the top spot on this list thanks to his long and successful NHL career. The 9th overall pick of the 2008 draft by the New York Islanders, Josh Bailey has suited up in 1,057 NHL games over parts of 16 seasons exclusively with the Islanders, scoring 184 goals and 580 points in the process. Having been traded to the Chicago Blackhawks on June 29th of this year, and having been immediately bought out by his new team shortly after, the 2018 NHL All-Star has taken his talents elsewhere in the league, as on September 14th, 2023, he signed a PTO contract with the Ottawa Senators. Since then, Bailey has joined Ottawa's roster for their pre-season training camp, and while he may no longer be the same consistent secondary scorer that he once was, given that the 33-year-old has produced respectable numbers in recent years, and given that he has worn a letter on his jersey in 5 of the last 7 seasons, if Ottawa don't end up signing him, it's likely that some other team will. Well, provided his pre-season goes well, of course, that's kind of a big factor in this whole thing, isn't it? And on that note, I'm going to end today's video. Those were the top 10 NHLers who are playing on a professional tryout contract this preseason. What do you guys think about my list? Are you surprised to see some of the names that were mentioned here, or did I leave someone completely obvious out? Do let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear what you guys have to say. But thank you very much for watching, guys. I do hope you have enjoyed. Please feel free to like, subscribe, share, watch some of my other videos. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye. A big thank you to Bexy93, Burned Retinas, Drew Fawcett, Houston NG, Raquel and Worthless Pieces for helping support this video via Patreon. If you too want to help support the channel a little bit further and get a shout out at the end of every future video, make sure you head over to patreon.com/oddmanrush and become a patron today.